I want to switch gears now to a very special guest who we've been trying to reach out to in the past, and it's always an honor to talk to him, and it's Tim Howard from the U.S. national team. Tim, how's it going?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Thank you for joining us. Wanted to talk to you real quick and start off with some of the work you've been doing for the New Jersey Center for Tourette Syndrome. I have a lot of information about it, but one thing I don't know is how long you've been associated with them and what sort of started your relationship with them.
Good question. I think probably when I was still playing for the Metro Stars, so that old defunct team in New Jersey somewhere. So I don't know, maybe 2000, roughly speaking, and just kind of connected with them. I thought it was, time to kind of reach out and give back a little bit. I had kind of keeping my story and my journey of Tourette Syndrome to myself, and for no other reason, just because I was trying to plow through it and make my own way. And and at that time, I was very comfortable and kind of happy to get the message out. And I thought the best way was to connect with a group and organization who was highly thought of and had already been in place. And so it ended up being a really great relationship and has kind of flourished over the years.
I know a lot of people know this about you. You've suffered with the symptoms of Tourette syndrome in the past.
Sure.
When you were first hooked up with these guys, did you still have symptoms then? I mean, was it still something you were working through at that time?
Yeah, well, I'll always have them. I have them now. It's not something that ever leaves, and so it was it was pretty much the same as it is today. So yeah, it was, again, as I said, it's something that has been a huge blessing in my life and something that I don't look upon in a negative way. So I think it was important to kind of get that message out there, and they were certainly the right people to help do that.
I want to get to this raffle that you're a part of, and this is a pretty good gig. You have 2 tickets to a raffle winner to an upcoming game and a seat at the dinner table with you back in England. Is that right?
That is correct. Yes. And I think it'll be kind of cool. I'm biased, of course, but I think coming to Europe and seeing a game at the highest level and taking in that atmosphere and what it's like is pretty cool. And obviously, I think it'll be fun for anyone to kind of see, from the dinner standpoint, obviously some good food, but to see what life's like, kind of being me and just kind of hanging out. So that'll be fun.
Now, just before we get to this, does include round-trip airfare.
Yes.
It does.
So it's not
airfare, tickets to the game, dinner, everything.
Tim, before I buy my raffle ticket, I just want to know what's on the menu for dinner.
Yeah, what does Tim Howard eat?
Well, I have a few good restaurants in mind. I'm sure I will offer those up and at that point take suggestions. Thankfully, Manchester has grown in the last 15 or 20 years and some really nice restaurants. So the world is your oyster, so to speak.
So you're going to an oyster bar. Okay. So I find it
wouldn't be that fresh, but we could.
Tim, let's get to some of the stuff from the U.S. national team a little bit. What's going on and these recent friendlies. What did you think of the performance of the team, and what do you guys need to work on before Gold Cup?
I think the performances were pretty good. Without going too far, I think the Paraguay game was a game which I think we rightfully could have and should have won. Missed a few chances. Keeper played very well. Made a really great save on Michael Bradley. So, unfortunately, that's how soccer is. I think you know that. And certainly when you don't get the result, that's all that matters. But I think the performances were pretty good. Argentina was always going to be its own monster. You're going to have to dig in against those guys and kind of play ugly and take your chances when you get them, and that's not going to be very often. And we did that. I think I'm excited anyway about some of the younger prospects coming through. I don't think over the last 4 years we've had that. I think we had some of the holdovers from the 2006 World Cup group who were getting older and coming into their own. Myself and Landon and Carlos and Gooch and the list goes on. But this year, it seems like there's some really talented young players, and I think the team needed that. They needed that infusion of youth and energy and the reckless abandon that as you know, being a young player provides. When you get older and experienced, you start to realize the downfall and the downside. But I think when you're young, you don't, and that's a positive.
But you actually were quoted after the game talking about the number of wands that have come through and being careful. What are the concerns regarding Agudelo?
Yeah, no, I did say that. I mean, I think I always worry, because I think sometimes as a young player, you think the pinnacle is getting that first cap and reaching that goal, and I think the strong players, the great players have a mindset of, one's not enough and one goal's not enough and one good game is enough. It's trying to, how do I get to 25 and 50? And you do that by being consistent. And as I said in that interview, for a striker, for example, it's not just about scoring goals. Of course, that's the be-all and end-all. Working hard for the team, holding the ball up, and that's part of just having the right mentality and digging in. And so I didn't mean that there's any disrespect to anybody, other than the fact that we all, myself included, you guys in the press, everyone gets excited, fans, about the new up-and-coming prospects, and I think it's important that he has the right people around him, starting with his teammates, that keep his head down, his feet firmly on the floor, and push him to be what his potential says he can be.
Hey, Tim, I wanted to ask you, you mentioned kind of digging in against Argentina and then coming out and playing a little bit more against Paraguay. There seems to be this pattern with the national team of, kind of falling behind a little or defending maybe a little too much early and then finally starting to play later in the game and in the second half and really holding your own, whether it be coming back or, doing well. Is there any sense among the team that this team can actually go out and play with anybody, that you don't need to bunker down early in a game, and that you can just go out and try to play at the same level?
Yeah, man, I think sometimes it's a little tougher to implement than it actually is to talk about. But yeah, I mean, look, I think we've shown that we can play alongside some of the better teams. You don't always beat them, don't get me wrong, but I think that's a mentality, and I think this team, that's one of the things we can put right over the next, well, not 4 years now, but the next 3 years or so is to have that positive attitude when we step on the field, and we do, but sometimes people see things, you would realize that we can go out and attack a team and really take it to them. But sometimes, unfortunately, you look at a team like Argentina and you see the name, and for better or worse, you sometimes go into a shell. But that's just all part of reading the game and experience and maturity, and I think we're getting there.
Tim, I would be remiss to ask this. We told people that you were going to be on the show today, and we always get these New Jersey guys that are always saying, "When's Tim Howard going to come back? When's he going to come back?" And I know after the Brazil game, when they were opening the new Giant Stadium, whatever it's called, New Meadowlands. You had mentioned that, maybe someday, especially with the way the Red Bulls were sort of generating a buzz around here. Is that still very, very far off in your radar, a return back to the States?
No, I don't think so. I think when I first left, I'd spent 5.5 years there, and I was really trying to carve out a career for myself in Europe and really make my mark on that career. And I think at that time, it was too far in the future, and I wasn't sure, obviously, what my plans might be. I can probably say now, barring something that unforeseen, I will definitely be back in MLS. It's a place that I want to be. I think that they're doing great things. I'm excited about the stadiums that have been built, the expansion. It all kind of excites me. As I get a little bit older, I think if this goes without saying, for me anyway. I don't want to come back and collect a paycheck and just not be very good, and labor around the field. That wouldn't be much fun for me, because I get a kick out of competing and just being really hard to play against and getting results. And I enjoy my training. I've always been a guy who's enjoyed my training. And like I said, if that becomes a labor for me, I don't really want to do that. And so I say all that because I want to come back and I want to contribute and be part of a team that's going in the right direction, that has a vision has a good team in place, a good coaching staff. So I'm excited for that. How it happens, when it happens, I don't know, but I can tell you this: I won't be playing until I'm 40. Like some goalkeepers can, and the American goalkeepers have had great longevity, but I can tell you I won't be. I don't want to be. So I'm 32 now. It's not that hard to do the math. So,
well, Tim, before we let you go, what's going on with Everton, and are you guys going to be able to catch Liverpool, you think?
Well, I think they're firmly in our sights now. With Bolton losing this weekend, we gained a point on them to solidify seventh place for ourselves. We were sharing it before the weekend, as you know. Obviously, with Liverpool losing, it was 2 points dropped because we could have gained. But yeah, I think they're firmly in our sights now, and with 7 games left, you can kind of wrap your head around how many points are left and where you think you can get points, and where they may drop points. So yeah, look, it's a rivalry that's already written in stone. So it'll be exciting. It'll be exciting for the city, for our fans, and for us, we're up for it. Unfortunately, we've got a boatload of injuries, but we've shown that we can fight through that. So we're excited.
Well, again, Tim Howard, I want to remind everybody, tickets on sale for this raffle and the dinner, the oyster dinner with Tim Howard through June 1st. We'll put a link on the website for the Extra Time Radio, but www.teamupwithtimhoward.org. Tim, thank you so much for joining us, man, and best of luck to you rest of the way with Everton.
Thanks, guys. It's been a pleasure. Take care.
Thanks so much.